Hey guys, Bobby Hesley here, coming to you live from Detroit, Michigan, where I was born and raised. Brightmoor, Michigan, more specifically. I am at 7 Mile and Livernois. And if you turn the camera around, you can see that I am at the Donald J. Trump Victory Detroit headquarters. I'm not the only one, guys. Look at this. I'm not the only black person. I'm not the only black conservative who thinks outside the box. There's an old saying, guys, that whenever you're flying, whenever you're getting shot at, whenever you're being attacked, that must mean that you're flying over the right targets. That must mean if somebody's shooting at you, that means that you're doing something right. Now, praise be to God, nobody's shooting at me, but I'm going to show you guys something. I'm going to take you on a little tour here. So this is the Black Voices for Trump Community Center. We'll let this gentleman go in. Oh, did they lock? Hi. Ah, there we go.
Hi. How are you? Come on in.
Oh, no, I'll be in a minute. Hi. Sorry, guys. Okay. Sorry about... No, go ahead. Close it. So, here's the thing, guys. Show you some facts. There's an old saying that you're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. So I'm going to give you guys some inarguable facts of things that Donald J. Trump has done for the black community. And these are indisputable facts. How you doing, brother? God bless you, man. So fact number one, HBCUs. President Trump has fought to restore and increase funding for HBCUs. This is official. This is the official Trump campaign in the black community in Detroit, Michigan. So look at this, guys. So what does this mean that he fought to restore and increase funding for HBCUs? What that means, guys, what did he have to restore it from? That begs the question. The only things that can be restored are things that were either destroyed or taken away or reduced, right? Well, our first black president, Barack Hussein Obama, our first two-term black president, actually cut funding for HBCUs. He cut it. Now, what does HBCU stand for those who don't know? It's an acronym for historically black colleges and universities. We call it HBCUs. So think Howard, right? Howard is probably the most popular HBCU out there. Lots of people graduated from Howard. P. Diddy graduated from Howard. That was his alma mater. The late, great Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther, God rest his soul, R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. He is a Howard graduate. And when Barack Obama was president, he basically had it set up. And I'm not going to blame Obama for this, but every president prior to Obama basically forced black people to get down on their knees and beg the U.S. government, the federal government, every year to have federal funding for their college. Okay? We always had to beg every year to have funding for our HBCUs. Now, why do we have historically black college and universities? Well, during the times of Jim Crow, we had to start our own colleges because segregation disallowed us from having our own institutions of learning and of higher learning. So we had to set up our own colleges. We had no help. We were a community. We pulled ourselves up by the bootstraps. And this was under Jim Crow, guys, that we accomplished this. And we set up all these classic black colleges. Well, we've always had to beg the government for money for those colleges. There was a time when the government wouldn't even fund us because they were too racist to fund us. But what happened is when Obama became president, he actually reduced funding for HBCUs. That's right. Our first black president cut funding for historically black colleges. Well, Donald Trump came in. And what Donald Trump did is not only did he give a bunch of money up front for HBCUs, but get this, guys, rather than making black people beg the federal government every year for funding for their college, Donald Trump basically made it to where he gave us permanent funding every year. $250 million of permanent funding. We don't have to beg anymore to fund our HBCUs. And that's President Donald J. Trump. the supposedly hood-wearing KKK president that everybody accuses him of being, he outdid Barack Obama when it came to that. So that's fact number one. Fact number two, as we'll move on, is entrepreneurship. The Trump administration is investing in minority businesses by removing the economic barriers and making more capital available. Now think about that, guys. These are called opportunity zones. And long story short, I'll give you kind of the elevator pitch of what opportunity zones are. Is there are about 1,500 opportunity zones that were set up throughout the United States. They're called urban opportunity zones, where the federal government has earmarked money to give black business owners or people who live in minority zip codes, people who live in minority neighborhoods, money to set up businesses. And under President Donald J. Trump, black-owned businesses are up 40%. And we're still coming at the end of his first term. In his first term, President Donald Trump was able to get black businesses up 40%. That's a historic high. And if that's not good enough news for you, the black unemployment numbers are the lowest they've ever been since the Bureau of Labor and Statistics started recording those numbers back in 1973. So he's been huge for that. Fact number three are school choice. President Trump called on Congress to pass school choice, giving every child the best chance at a good education. So long story short, guys, what school choice is the ability for kids who live in poor zip codes in minority neighborhoods to choose to go to whatever school they want. Now, I am a product of Detroit Public Schools, guys. I grew up in Detroit Public Schools. When I grew up in Brightmoor on Schoolcraft and Evergreen on Auburn and Kendall, the school that I went to was Peter Vital Elementary School on Westwood and Acacia. Anybody who's in Brightmoor knows. My boy John Palmerville, if you watch this, you remember Vital Middle School. It has since been closed down and sold off. I believe it's a church now. I believe it's an abandoned building now. Okay, so school choice enables poor black kids to have an advantage, or to at least have an equal advantage to other kids that live in better zip codes with better funding and better schools to get just as good an education as their richer zip code counterparts, because black kids have a right, just as much of a right to an education as kids of every race does. So President Trump has helped with that. And the people that are fighting that, the people that are fighting school choice are Democrats. That's just how it is. And I believe it's to keep them poor and uneducated. So fact number three, criminal justice reform. The First Chance Act, the Second Chance Act. Donald Trump has reversed many of the harmful policies of Vice President Joe Biden, of his 1994 crime bill that he, along with Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, passed. Okay? The 1994 crime bill has incarcerated more black men than any other bill in history. It really has. It's broken up families. It's incarcerated many of us. You guys getting started soon?
Not yet.
Okay. Thank you. Got a meeting with some pretty big people that are doing big things here. I didn't know if we were getting started. But anyway, criminal justice reform under President Donald Trump has freed lots of black men from prison that I believe received sentences that were way too harsh. I mean, think about it. A first-time nonviolent offense, you get a minimum of 10 years. I don't believe that you should sell weed. I don't believe you should smoke weed. Yeah, there's medicinal marijuana. Maybe that has its merit, maybe not. That's not the scope of this video. But if somebody's busted with a dime bag and, you know, they get a prison sentence for a minimum of 10 years for a nonviolent offense, that's too harsh, man. That's way too harsh. And thanks to Joe Biden, that was passed. Thanks to his running mate, Kamala Harris. Okay? She was one of the harshest prosecutors we've ever had, and she was in California. The third strike rule. You commit 3 felonies, you get life in prison, even if they were nonviolent felonies. It's way too harsh. I'm not saying people shouldn't be punished who do that, but that's too harsh. So Trump has reversed what I believe was a lot of systemic racism. We want to talk systemic racism? Systemic racism, number one, we could not own our own colleges. So we started our own HBCUs. Trump increased funding to that. Entrepreneurship, opportunity zones, that reversed a lot of systemic racism. You know, maybe black people can't get hired. They've done studies to where one person would fill out the same exact application. Everything would be identical. Identical credentials, identical college degrees, identical qualifications. And the only thing that would be different would be that person's name. So maybe they would say Sharon Jackson on the first application. And on the second application, it would be Latiqua Brown or Laquarius Jenkins, right? Well, the more exotic sounding black name would get rejected just because of the connotation of that name. To me, that's a form of systemic racism. It is. Well, you know what? Rather than being at the mercy of some employer that you hope's not going to discriminate you against, based on your name, because your name sounds a little bit too much hood, why not start your own business? Well, President Donald J. Trump has your back. If you live in one of these urban opportunity zones, you would be empowered to do that. School choice. Kids have a right to an education. Criminal justice reform. Now, I opened up this video by saying that you're doing something right when you're getting attacked. So this is the Trump headquarters for Detroit, okay? And I want you guys to think about something. Look at this picture here, school choice. Look at this cute boy here. This boy has a right to his education. He does. He's entitled to his education, okay? So that's the first feature here, school choice. Second feature, HBCUs. We covered that. Relax Snowflake, nice t-shirt. But get this, guys. This just happened this morning. Somebody doesn't like Trump's criminal justice reform. Look at this. Our headquarters just got hit this morning with graffiti. Isn't that a shame? Look at this, folks. Look at this graffiti. Of all the things for them to cover up, for them to vandalize, they vandalized criminal justice reform. These same people who don't support Donald Trump, these same people who say that he's a racist, who say that he has it out for black people. Look at this. Graffiti, guys. I want you to see this. So who's the systemic racist? Anybody who has a problem with President Donald J. Trump's criminal justice reform, they are furthering and promoting systemic racism. Because I believe that the 1994 crime bill that was passed by Vice President Joe Biden and that was enforced by his vice presidential candidate Kamala Harris is the biggest piece of systemic racism legislation that has come out in a very, very long time. I believe that the 94 crime bill was like Jim Crow being transplanted into the modern era. And yet somebody has a problem with that. So who's the racist? Who's the systemic racist? Entrepreneurship, right? That's been blotted out. This was a great picture of a black entrepreneur. They blotted it out with 45 graffiti. Somebody doesn't like 45. But look at that. Trump's entrepreneurship initiative. They spray painted it out. Look at this. Graffiti on an old black couple. Look at that. That is a travesty, folks. So who are the racists? I'm a Trump supporter. I am. And this upsets me. When I come here and I see this president that has done more for blacks, I would argue, than any president since Abraham Lincoln, since the Emancipation Proclamation. And this is the thanks that he gets. Look at this. Look at the thanks that Donald Trump gets for everything he's doing for us. This is systemic racism, folks. This is what you would see back in the 1950s. I'll be honest, guys, when I first pulled up and saw this, at first, I actually thought it was a swastika. I thought I was coming up on some Aryan Nation art. But I'm going to be honest, I don't believe black people did this. Because we're a lot more artistic when we're graffitiing. This reminds me of Antifa type stuff. I don't know who it is. We don't have any proof of who it is. We don't have any security cameras. But all I could tell you, folks, is that we're doing something right. We're doing something. Somebody out there is not happy at the progress that Donald Trump is bringing about for black people. Look at this. Now, could you imagine what would happen if this was outside of a Joe Biden headquarters? If Joe Biden was touting everything that he's supposedly doing for black people, and somebody graffitied all of the pictures and all of the claims of success outside of his headquarters, this would be on world news. This would be all over CNN. It'd be all over MSNBC. Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, all the race hustlers, they would all be out here with their loudspeakers trying to hunt down the evil Republicans, the evil conservative, the evil whoever, the evil racist that would have the audacity to graffiti at presidential headquarters that was set up specifically for minority urban outreach. And yet, you have nobody. Look at this. This is newsworthy, folks. Look at this graffiti on black people. These are my people that are being spray painted over like this. Things that are being put in place to help my people, to help my community, are being spray painted and graffitied by people. I'm pretty angry at this. But what can we do about it? Except re-elect our president. We're doing something right, guys. So I just wanted to congratulate everybody for thinking for themselves, for loving your country, for fighting for your country. We're probably going to get started in here. So this is Bobby Hesley coming to you. Got a little time? Okay. Give me a little more time to spend with my people. So I'm just freewheeling it out here, guys. I don't have a particular script or an agenda, but I think the art speaks for itself. I know my videos tend to be kind of long, but who else thought this was a swastika when they first saw it? It's not, it's 45. But look at this black couple. Do they deserve to have their faces spray painted over? Doesn't this look pretty racist, guys? Who would do this? Who would do this? Look at this. Entrepreneurship. Think about this. They left school choice alone. They left the HBCUs alone. But of all the ones that they block out, criminal justice reform and entrepreneurship. That's crazy. Somebody doesn't want black people owning businesses. Somebody doesn't want black people having criminal justice reform. It ain't us Republicans. We're pushing for it. And look at the pushback we get. I know I'm repeating myself, but I got to reiterate this. I got to drive this home. This is ridiculous. This is a travesty, folks. We're not living in the Jim Crow 1950s. This is our post-first black president era we're living in. And look at the treatment that black people are getting. Look at the good treatment that is of black people that is being opposed by people. So anyway, guys, it's good to be with you. And I don't know, what are you guys' thoughts? I just want what's best for my people. That's all I want. I want every ounce of systemic racism in this country that exists to be eradicated. And I like to go where the bodies are. This is what I was telling the Black Lives Matter protesters on 11 Mile and Woodward. If black lives truly matter to you, truly matter, you got to go where the bodies are. You got to go where the traffic is. You got to go where the numbers are. And the fact is, all the black bodies are being piled up outside of the abortion clinics and in our inner cities. Those two things can be fixed. The largest killer of us black people can be fixed. First, we have to reduce the poverty rate because there's cause and effect, right? Fatherless homes lead to young men that are filled with testosterone and devoid of guidance and masculinity. Just because somebody's full of testosterone doesn't mean that they're full of masculinity, right? There's males and then there's men. A male is simply somebody who's endowed with a certain type of anatomy hanging between their legs, okay? Males are born, but men are made. And men are forged in the homes of fathers of masculine influence. If you don't have a man in your life raising you, you're going to have all this unharnessed masculinity, and it's going to lead you to commit crime. It's going to lead you to have no guidance throughout life. So the first thing we have to do is we have to get the fathers back in the home. But in the meantime, because that's more of a long-term play, we have to reduce poverty. How can we reduce poverty? We reduce poverty by empowering people to start their own businesses. And guys, I've been on both sides of the extremes, okay? I've been on both sides. I grew up on socialist degrading welfare programs, okay? SSI, food stamps, WIC, Section 8, free lunches at school, you name it. I grew up on all that stuff, guys. I was on it for years. And as an adult, you know, when I left home and I became a man, and, you know, pretty much when I was 17 was when I started really, you know, fending for myself. How's it going? Basically, I was able to cross over and get onto the other side of capitalism. So I grew up on the extreme of socialism, and now I've thrived under capitalism for the last several decades. So I've been on both extremes, guys. And if I had to choose between the two, I would take capitalism every day of the week and twice on Sunday if you put it up against the socialist welfare programs that I was on. So that's how we reduce poverty, is through entrepreneurship, empowering people, okay? Because that's going to lead to so many other changes in our community. And it doesn't have to be college. Even if you don't want to start a business, learn a trade. You can go to trade school, you can learn a trade, and you could turn that trade. You can monetize that trade into a business. And with President Trump's opportunity zones, with his urban opportunity zones, lots of people are having those opportunities to do that. And that's why it saddens me and angers me when I see all these BLM protesters, I see all these Antifa protesters, and they come through these poor black neighborhoods where we're trying to better ourselves. We're trying to build our own businesses thanks to help from Donald Trump. And they come in and they torch the businesses, they loot the businesses, they burn them down to the ground, they graffiti the businesses. You want to see an example of some anti-Trump graffiti? Look no further than his Black Voices for Trump headquarters. Think about this. I don't care who this nominee is. I don't care what party this person is. I don't care if they're Democrat, Republican, Independent. No matter what party this is a building that's dedicated to helping black communities. So anybody that would graffiti a building, whether Democrat or Republican, that's dedicated to helping the black community, I got a problem with that. Help us. Don't graffiti us. Look at this. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. So anyway, guys, starting to ramble. Thanks for joining me, everybody. We're going to get our meeting started here. We've got some Republican organizers that are going to be here. We're doing some outreach efforts. We are trying to better the community. Guys, we're not in this for the popularity. This is what you sign up for. You sign up for this. Embrace the unpopularity, guys. Think for yourself. You're going to have a lot of people who may not like the fact that you think for yourself, but it's the best way to be free. So I love you guys. Pray for us. We're trying to help our community. Wayne County is the pivotal county. Do you realize that Donald Trump won Michigan with only 10,000 votes and some change when he beat Hillary? Hillary was right at his heels 4 years ago by 10,000 votes. And I promise you folks, from a lot of the people that I've been talking to, a lot of the black people that I've been talking to recently, with some of the meetings I've been going to, with some of the outreach efforts I'm getting involved with, there are a lot of closet black Trump supporters, guys, I'm telling you. The Democrats are in for a rude awakening. A rude awakening. I believe that when November 3rd rolls around, they are going to realize that they have used, abused, and underestimated their black voters for over a half a century, and they're going to have a rude awakening. Trump carried the black vote, I believe, by 8% in 2016. Don't quote me on that. But Trump won more black votes than any other presidential candidate in modern history. And that was before anybody knew what he was made of. All we had to go by back then were the Rosie O'Donnell insults, the build the wall promises. All we had were promises back then. We didn't have any action for Trump because he wasn't president yet. But this man has done everything that he promised he would do and then some. He has delivered on all of his promises. So I believe that if we can get a big enough outreach effort in Detroit, in Wayne County, Trump could handily carry Wayne County. So anyway, guys, my meeting's getting ready to start. I love you guys. Thanks for checking in, and I will see you next time. Peace.